Ah,
Jaco, what are we
okay.
doing
So
tonight? We're doing a blot and a half. What are we doing?
well, I'm gonna try and get to sort of to the bottom of pay. Well, we already did a part of pay Amid Aleph, so
Right.
it's not hard Gemara. The first part is a little bit hard. The rest of it is I mean it's Dina Yichud. It's very very Noikeya. So I just say, Aaron, I'm warning you. Tomorrow's daf in person could take 3 hours, 4 hours, easy. It could be a Shavuos night, no problem.
Jaco, I have no problem muting people in person.
You see, Howard, you think I was making that up? You
Oh.
could start out with milk. You could start out with
Jaco,
milk.
you did over here. Baron said he requested milchiks. I told him don't come.
So you could start out with milchiks. You see that?
Yeah, but we should talk either. Start with milchiks, and then I'm telling you, tomorrow night it's geschmack and it's negei lemaisa and it's hashkafa. It's wild tomorrow night's stuff. But anyway, so we'll try and get. I mean, if we don't do a decent amount tonight, then we'll never. It'll be like a mishmar Thursday night. We'll daven Nets, and Nets is at 7:30.
Oh boy. I was like, Jaco, you planning to start Baba Kama on Friday?
Yeah, we'll start with a hakda. We'll start a little bit short. We'll do a little like 15 minutes Friday for the kviyas Shabbai. Unless one guy wants to finish and make the siyum, and then the rest of us will finish on Friday. We could do that too. But that doesn't. I mean, if that's what the island wants to do. Yes. My kids are playing around with it.
Naftali, do that. Okay. You could take a nap and make the siyum, Naftali.
How'd you know he just walked?
Help say the brachas.
That's what I've done.
I never made it that late.
I lost a few minutes of hearing.
Yeah. Nothing. We're just kidding around with tomorrow night's stuff.
How long is it going to take? It's a long daf.
It's a long daf because we have to do 2 daf. Friday is really the last daf, not Thursday. So okay, let's get rolling. Instead of hacking around, let's get rolling.
We could do this. We could eat the food and do the siyum on Friday.
No, that's not the. I don't know, whatever. If that's what the other one.
Jaco, we leave it in
For
your
all those that are going to the weekend away. Anyone, Aaron, you're not going to the weekend?
You didn't sponsor me, Akiva.
What weekend?
I thought he's giving out a free Gemara and a weekend away. No, that's the new offer.
Ellie Stefanski's doing a whole Shabbos this week.
Connecticut.
$1,800 a couple in Connecticut. Yeah. And he sold out.
I thought Akiva's giving away free rooms there.
Yeah.
I am. Oh. This when you show up there, use my name. No problem.
It's 1 L or 2 L's.
Very good.
They'll tell you there once you get there which one's correct.
Yeah.
Amara, you're getting stuck on technicalities already.
What? Show you later.
Okay.
Anyways, okay. So we're in the middle of the sugi here. So we're talking about chazaka. We're talking about it's talking about chazaka, right? That if you have a chazaka, so then something breaks the chazaka. So then, when do we say it breaks? When do we say it doesn't break it, etc., etc. Right? So we said yesterday, Rabbi Yochanan holds that a chazaka you could be chayav malchus. A fascinating thing. If based on a chazaka, you could be chayav a guy malchus and chayav a guy skila. But truma, you're not going to burn on a chazaka, right? So what did we say yesterday? So meaning if a guy's wife is dressed in her nida clothing, so we know she's a nida, and then somebody sees them be together with Adim, right? So then we can give him makas based on that. We know she's a nida based on the chazaka, right? And then we said that if a lady the story was a lady came marching into Yerushalayim with a kid on her shoulder, and then they slept together. So there's a chazaka that baby was her child. Then they slept together. So based on that chazaka, if they were Eidim, but they were Mazana, so then we base it on the chazaka. But then we said, but Rabbi Yochanan holds truma, suffix truma, that we only know is truma on chazaka, that we're not going to burn it. We're not going to burn it. We're just going to let it be. Right? So let's see. We're mamish halfway, slightly less than halfway down. If you see Taisus Shadarka Shaltinek L'Tafeach, that's the second Taisus. It's 3 lines above that last word on the line, Ve'ain. Right? See it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So ve'ain sarfin truma al chazakas. We will not burn truma based on a chazaka. Dom Rab Shimon ben Lakish sarfin al chazakas. We do burn truma on chazakas. Rish Lakish holds you would burn truma on chazakas. Rav Yochanan Omer ain't sarfin. He says we don't burn it. For azulu tamayu, and they both go according to their reasons. The Tanan tinik shenim tzibasada isov ubatzik biyadoi. Right, if you have a tinik, a child that you find him hanging out with the dough, and he has a piece of dough in his hand. Right, so Rashi says, so what? So we know that kid took the dough from the pile, from the pile, whatever the bowl of dough. So now a kid is, well, let's see, Rameir Matar. So Rameir says the dough is tar, but Chachamim Matamin, and the Chacham say it's tummy. Why? The derech of a tinuk is to be a mitafeach. So Rashi says a tinuk's playing with shrotzim, nevelas, and the guy, he's touching dead animals. So the assumption is that a kid is tamei. Now the kid went and touched this challah of truma, right? So now Rameir says we don't care; it's still tar. The Chachamim say no because it's the derech. That's sort of like a chazaka, right? Va'avinamba, my tamai do Rameir. What's the reason Rameir? Because Sava roiv. Now here we go. Yeah, when I saw this Gemara first, I said, "Why this is mamish making Gershon's night." This one here, because Sava roiv tinoikas metapchen, right? Roiv kids are hacking around in the garbage and are touching shrotzim. Umiyat ematam. But then there's a few goodies, right? Bookworms, right? Who back then would be considered learning disabled, and nowadays are considered the regular, right? So the old time learning disabled disabled just sat around and didn't play around with dead animals, right? So it's only a minority. For Isa becheskes tara emedes, and the Isa has a chazak of tara. So basically, you have dough has a chazak of tara because why not, right? I mean that's what it is. Dough is normally tahar. You have a kid who the assumption is Roiv tells you that he's tummy. So we have Roiv saying it's tummy, and against it you have a chazaka saying it's tar. The samach miyutul chazaka. So Rameir says what you do is you take the miyut, you attach it to the chazaka, and then Israel aruba. Now your Roiv is ruined, not ruined, but ra. It became bad. So Mamela, you have no Roiv versus a chazaka, right? And Mamela, the kid. The dough is tar. The Rabbanan miyut command the less. I mean, no, the way you look at miyut is a miyut is not there. We always go with the majority, and the miyut doesn't exist. So ruba v'chazaka, ruba adif. When you have a roiv versus a chazaka, we go with the roiv, right?
Just to clarify, makes it a suffix, or it puts the chazaka back in its place.
What? Which according to Rameir or Chachamim?
Rameir.
I don't know. I mean, how the lumdus works according to Rameir.
I'm just trying to understand. So it does it become a suffix then?
Well, the whole thing is ultimately the whole thing is a suffix. It's still considered a suffix.
So wouldn't that be Tully if it's in Rishus Rav or Rishus Yachid, whether it's Yiko Bus or Suffix Gatara, or you're Ayman Chazaka at that point? Israel Ruba doesn't say that it should be tar then.
I mean, why is it not being mechalik here between Rosh Hashanah and Rosh Hashanah?
Yeah, unless you say that Israel Ruba and you're Ayman Chazaka again. Meaning the Chazaka does two things. It's Israel Ruba and it's Ayman Chazaka again. Or that works together. I don't know. I'm just trying to understand what the Gemara is saying.
Yeah, I hear. No, yesterday also we were mechalik by mikvah Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Hashanah. Right? Okay, but all right. So let's go. I mean, yeah, these Gemaras, this Gemara you could also spend hours and hours and hours on. But anyways, but the main point to know from this Gemara is Ruba v'chazaka, Ruba adif. If you don't want to sound educated, you could say Ruba v'chazaka, Ruba adif. Right? Meaning you have a roiv against the chazaka. Right? So which one wins? So we're saying that the roiv wins. Again, Rameir is saying that the roiv is the chazaka. How does it go? The chazaka. If you take the miyut together with the chazaka, it knocks out the roiv. The Chacham say it doesn't knock out the roiv. That's fine. So that's Rabbi Yochanan. Rish Lakish, Mishum Rabbi Yoshia, Zuhi Shesarfin Alavasat Truma. We taka burn truma based on this suffix, meaning this suffix is enough. Again, this is talking about where this dough was made out of from truma. So now, when the Chachamim is saying you have to, the truma's tameya, they're saying it's tamei, and therefore we're going to burn it. That's Shitas Rish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Ein zu chazaka shezarvan truma. This is not the chazaka. Even the Chachamim would say, that you can't eat the truma, you can't eat the dough, but you don't burn it either. Right? And what's wrong with burning it? What's the big deal? Because there's an isser to burn truma. You're not allowed to. Right? So meaning, according to Rish Lakish, this suffix, this chazaka is strong enough to even allow you to burn the truma. Meaning that's how strong we consider it. And according to Rabbi Yochanan, he says, no, this chazaka is not strong enough to burn the truma. Right?
Isn't the chazaka what's telling us that it's tahir?
What? I meant
Chazaka is the part which
the
telling
chazaka is telling you
telling-
tar. Yeah, I'm sorry, the roiv. I said chazaka. I'm sorry, the roiv. The roiv.
No, the Gemara says chazaka.
What?
How's Rish Lakish saying it's the chazaka that we burn truma from?
It's a ruba de
why
lesa
is it-
kaman. He's learning a ruba de lesa kaman is it's not a real.
Well,
it must be not a real rive.
Well, we're getting that. We're going to get into that into Rabbi Yochanan's shita.
No, I'm saying
No,
even
even
Rish
that-
Lakish.
Yeah.
Rabbi Reish Lakish holds that a ruba, the lesser kaman, is still
It's a
strong
chazaka.
enough to say that it's strong enough to say that it's vadai considered truma to tamei and memela tzau.
Right. But the roiv is why we burn, not the chazaka.
Correct. The right. Yeah, that's true. Correct.
Isn't this machlokes supposed to be about a chazaka on which we burn?
I mean, why is it? I mean, initially calling it
This is a
chazaka.
roiv which we burn from,
Right.
not a chazaka.
That's true, but I understood it to mean that when we're not sure and we're saying that the roiv beats the chazaka, so memela that's considered a suffix, and
So we burn
memela, but
against
it's
the
strong
chazaka,
enough.
not because of the chazaka.
Correct. Yeah, that's why I got. But that's reading it into the words. That is reading it into the words, but it works for Daf Yomi certainly. Right. But anyway, okay. So that's again according to Reish Lakish, this is a roiv that's strong enough to be matama the dough. Rabbi Yochanan, it's not strong enough, right? Why? Because it's a ruba the lesser kaman, like Akiva just said. It's not in front of us. We'll say it and we'll explain it in a minute. One second. Let me just get through this. Yeah, what's the chazaka to burn chametz? Because now we have a different case. Isa b'soicha bayis. If you have a dough in the house. Ushrotzim utzvardim metavim shom. You have shrotzim, which are tamei, and tzvardim is frogs they're hanging out there, right? Meaning they're in the dough, right? I don't know why anybody's going to eat it, but you have this dough, and you have shrotzim, which are tamei. Tzvardim, believe it or not, frogs are not tamei, right? They're not one of the shmoina shrotzim, so they're not tamei. So now, v'nimtza chatichas beisa, then they find pieces of something, some sort of animal inside the dough, right? I mean, I've heard of pastrami challah from that restaurant. This takes it to new levels, right?
Would this be
So you have-
fleshig?
I don't think it would be fleshig, no. Right. So anyways, you find these pieces in there. You have no idea. If it's a frog, it's tar. If it's a sheretz, it's not tar. So you have no idea. So then we say, well, how do you pass? An imroiv shrotzim tameya. If the majority of the animals that are there are shrotzim, so it's tamei. Imroiv tzvardim tar. But if it's mostly frogs, then it's tar, right? Because you're going with a roiv, right? And memela, in this case, Rabbi Yochanan says that you're going, if it's a roiv shrotzim, you're going to burn it. Why? Because this is called a ruba de isa kaman. Right, it's a fascinating study in when you say roiv and not, right? But it's not hard to understand. There's a ruba de lesa kaman and there's a ruba de isa kaman. Meaning a ruba de isa kaman is that it's right in front of us, right? We have these these animals running around. We have no idea what's the roiv.
You say the Isa with a suf, right?
Yes.
Isa not with
Yeah,
a suffix,
yeah.
right?
Very good, Rachamim. Very good. Very good. Right. Very good. Yeah. He's trying to play on words between Isa and Isa in case it wants to make, in case the Gemara is not confusing enough, we're going to use the same word, right? So again, Isa is do, and Isa with the aleph and a saf means there is. So Ruba de Isa come on means, let's say we're trying to figure out, let's use an example. I don't even know. I'm saying you have a crowd of people and you're trying to figure out if they all davened or not. Right? So you're going to say, okay, it's yeshiva guys with chassidim. So yeshiva guys usually daven mincha early. Chassidim usually daven mincha late. So you're trying, it's the middle afternoon. So you're trying to figure out. So you say, okay, it's Roiv yeshiva guys. So the Roiv is right in front of us, meaning the suffix is right in front of us. We have no idea. Did the Roiv daven mincha or did the Roiv not daven mincha? But the Roiv is staring at you. So that type of Roiv, that's considered a strong Roiv. Aruba the lesser come on with a Roiv that's not in front of you is not considered a strong Roiv. So meaning the first case with the kid, right? Again, let's go with the second case, because we're saying Aruba the Isa come on, we see that there's chunks of animal or creature inside the dough, right? We know that these animals are running around, so we just have to figure out what are the majority of the animals. Whatever the majority of animals are, that's what this dough is going to be. That's a roiv that's in front of us. Just go and count and figure out what the roiv is, and that's it, right? The first case, which is whether the kid who touched the dough was hanging out with shratzim, the roiv is not in front of you. There's no way for you to know. There's no way for you to know. How are you supposed to know whether this kid, when maybe that day there were no dead shratzim? So how do you know? How do you know the kid was hanging out in the garbage? And even if he was hanging out in the garbage, who says that he was touching shratzim? So that's a ruba de lesa, come on. That is a much weaker roiv. So according to Rabbi Yochanan, you cannot burn truma based on a ruba that's not in front of you. You can burn truma on a roiv that's staring you right in the face.
But see, I have a Rashi seems to imply it's also statistics, even by the case of shiratzim, that it's most like the house has mostly shiratzim. So what makes it more Isa? It's not like it's called a parish, Meruah parish, correct?
Correct.
So then what makes it more Isa? They're both statistics to some degree.
Right. Okay, I'm not sure. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Listen, this is your department, statistics.
It's not, I don't know what that means. Like, so it's literally levels to statistics.
Correct. That's true. Yeah, it's true. You're right. I mean, you can. At what point do you take which roiv? And it's I don't know. Anyways, okay, but that's what we're saying, that you don't burn according to Rabbi Yochanan. You only burn when it's a ruba de isa. Come on, fine. Tani Kava said to Rabbi Yochanan, Shnei dvarim ein behem das lishol. There are two things that they don't have das to ask. Vasum chacham kama sheyesh kima sheyesh behem das lishol. And a chacham made it as if they had das to ask, meaning these things don't have the knowledge like a child to tell us what went on, but based on roivs and chazakas, we're going to decide. It's as if the child was talking to us. Tinok v'ayra cheres, the case of Tinok, and one other case. Tinok hadamonon. The Tinok is like we said, right? With the case with the dough. So you can ask the kid from today till tomorrow, doesn't know what you're talking about, right? But we're going to figure out based on the roivs and the chazakas. Another case, what is it? Isa b'soich habayis. If there's dough in the house, the tarnagolim umashkim tameim sham, and you have chickens there, and you also have mashkim liquids at his tummy. V'nimtzu, and then you find on tummy base now nekurim beisa. You see little, pock marks, holes in the dough. So clearly, the chicken was poking the hole with its beak. So now the question was, did the chicken first eat the tame liquid and now go and put it into the dough? So now you have tame dough. So toilin, so in that case, you let it hang sarfin, you don't eat it and you don't burn it, right? Even though it seems like you have the holes in the dough. So l'chayra, these chickens took the tame liquid and put it into the dough. So it should be you should burn it, but the Brisa says you don't burn it. You can't eat it. You don't burn it either. Who's that like? That's like Rabbi Yochanan. It just until it gets ruined, and then you get thrown in the garbage because you're not allowed to burn truma. Be a dime, you can't burn truma.
Oh,
you can't burn truma via dimes. You just let it. It's in no man's land. Like sometimes when you have to put an animal out to pasture, if it has a moon.
I was saying, be machmer, just burn it. You said you're not.
You can't, right? You're not allowed to. You fakir, you're being machmer now.
Yeah.
Yes, fine. So Amr Shuma Levi lo shanu el mashkim levanim. That's only talking about if the liquid was white, right? So therefore, we don't know. We have no idea if the water actually made it into the dough. But if the liquid is red, now I'm not so sure why it has to be red. And let's say it was black. In the Gemara later, it's mashma. It doesn't necessarily have to be red, but if it's a color, if you would know, you'd see in the dough if there's red. So if you don't see red, so then it's not a problem.
So they had red wine and white wine.
I don't know why they picked red. I don't know. So the Gemara says,
Normally when it says Levain, does that mean it's clear liquid?
Yeah, it's really clear. L'chara, it's clear. I mean, it could be either one. It's just that you can't tell. You can't tell.
Not like it's milk.
Correct. Well, I don't know. You milk on dough, you'd be able to tell. You would be able to tell. Probably not. I guess it depends how white your dough is. I don't know. Peretz, no. Well, you can tell. You put milk under your dough.
The wine cones.
The inside for sure not. Maybe on the crust. I don't know.
Okay. You can tell it's milk. You can tell it's oil. I don't know. You know what I mean? Yeah, it may have a different consistency, but to know exactly what it is.
I hear. Okay. So okay.
Soy
So
milk would be.
All right. That I mean nowadays, yeah, but if there's liquid, the liquid that was it was tummy.
Right. If you can tell that there's liquid there at all, it would be
then it's tummy, yeah.
Once it's dry, you can't tell if it's milk, water, oil. Once it's in the dough, it's in the dough. It's finished.
Right. Well, so that's the Gemara's next question. So okay, for Dilma. So again, we're trying to figure out if there was any liquid put into the dough. So I'm going to ask for Dilma belasinu isa. Maybe the liquid went into the dough. Right. So Rabbi Yochanan davar zeh shama beribi v'perushay lo shama. Right. Beribi is a lashon for somebody chashuv gadol adar. Was Rabbi Shua ben Levi? Rashi says he heard this din about that it can't be red. I mean, if it's not red, meaning if it's red, it doesn't apply because you're able to see. But he didn't understand it. Right? See, here it changed. Here it's only talking about where the red, it didn't change. We're saying the red liquid is clear. Right? It's clear that you can, if a tinuk looks at the liquid, right? There's like a bowl of tummy liquid here. If the kid would look at the liquid, he would see his face, his reflection. Right? So then that's the type that's a suffix. But if it's dirty water, then it's not tummy because that you would be able to see on the dough. All right. Okay. So the bottom line is that this din that we're mesupik about this dough becoming tummy, it's only an issue if you have clear or white liquids. But if you don't have clear or white liquids, then you and it's colored liquid, then you can assume that the dough is tar because otherwise you'd be able to tell. All right. Fine. Okay, so Zokdimish, that's it. Now we're out of that sugya of chazaka. Now we're into an easier sugya that's very practical, which is hilchas yichud. Right, comes up a lot. Okay, so lo yis yachid adam im shtei nashim. One man is not allowed to be miyachid with two women, right? Which the Gemara is going to say is because women could be easily won over. Right? And since they know that they could easily be won over, they're not afraid of each other. Because she thinks, I'll be Mazana with this guy, but my friend's also going to be Mazana with this guy. So, all's fair. Right? So, right? One man cannot be married with two women, but one woman can be miyachid with two men because two men are going to rat each other out because they're going to be embarrassed. He says, even one man can be miyachid with two women. When the wife's around, there's no yichud issues, right? So it seems like he's only, it says only Reb Shimon, but the pashtus is that the Tanakama would agree with this. He's just adding, right? And one-on-one would also be okay. V'yashin imam b'pundiki, try this at home. V'yashin when you're traveling. V'yashin imam b'pundiki, A man could sleep with two strange women in the same room as long as his wife is there, right? Because his wife is going to watch him. It's a different, it's a different society back then, clearly. But anyways, but Taisa says that the Chum agree with this. Then Misyachad Adam im imay vim bitay, a man is allowed to be miyachad with his mother and his daughter, and we're not worried about any sort of znus, right? And then the Yashan Imam, the Kira Basar, he's not even allowed to sleep with them in Kira Basar, right? Meaning with body touching body. But that's only when they're young. But once they get older, then they could still sleep in the same bed, meaning a guy with his mother and a guy with his daughter. Zu Yashena Beksusa, V'zeh Yashan Beksusai. This one will sleep in his clothing and this one will sleep in her clothing, but they still sleep in the same bed. All right. So, yeah. Fine. Okay, so those are the dinim, basic dinim of Yichud. Fine. So the Gemara asked my timer, right? Why are you not allowed to be miyachad with two women? So Tanad Ve'elio, Hayel ben Noshim Daitin Kalas Alein. Since they have Daitin Kalas, so they're easily coerced, and since they're easily coerced, so they're not going to be embarrassed from each other, and therefore they will be mizana, and one does not act as a shomer for the other, right? Because let's say one lady decides to be together with this man, and the other lady's around, she knows what's going on, so she thinks, okay, what's the big deal? I'm not going to tell anybody because I'm going to do it myself. Or the other lady thinks the other one's going to do it, so it's fine. Minani mili. How do we know that there's a yichud? Where's there a minayin and where's the remez to yichud from the Torah? Right, when your brother, the son of your mother, meaning your brother from your mother, it's a half brother because they share the mother. When he will make you sischa, when he try and make you go off the derech. So ben aim mesis ben av in mesis. Only your brother from your mother can make you go off the derech. Your brother from your father will not. What it's teaching you is that a son is allowed to be meyachid with his mother. But he's also to be meyachid with all the other rayas in the Torah. Meaning, what it's saying is that if a man was not allowed to be meyachid with his mother, then he would never be able to go visit his mother. Right? So once his mother gets remarried to somebody, he'll never be able to hang out there. Right? Or even before they get married. So therefore, it would only be a brother from a mother that he would be close enough to. So therefore, that's why the pasuk is saying it, right? But again, it's a play on words because that's not what the pasuk is talking about. That we'll see in the Gemara in a minute, right? Yeah. So therefore, it is more of a chashash of a brother who's going off the derech, convincing his brother from the mother, than convincing the brother from the father, right? Because from the brother and the father is the isur yichud for him to be with his stepmother. Am I being clear? Meaning, when a guy, it has to be there's an isur yichud with a woman, because when a guy's father gets remarried, right, then the brother from the father cannot hang out in the house anymore because that's yichud with him. It's not his mother, right? So the only time he could hang out with, the only brother the guy could have that he could hang out with is his brother from his mother. So you see that there's an isur yichud with a mother. Now that doesn't, the whole stepmother is what happens with the yichud with all that is a whole sugya.
There's all workarounds. So.
Yeah. There's lots of yeah. Anyway,
my wife had it in her family with her cousins.
Yeah, so it has to do with what was I saying? There, it has to do with what's the norm. Well, we'll get to that in I don't know if it's today's stuff or tomorrow's stuff. Fine. So Pashri the Krova Maiksiv. So you're saying this pasuk of one son making this brother from his mother go off the derech. We're using that for yichud. But what's the pasuk shan in the pasuk? So Pashri the Krova Maiksiv. Amarabai lami by kama. What the pasuk is saying, lami by ben av the sanile. Normally, a brother from a father, they hate each other, right? And he's going to give bad eitzes. So we're not so concerned that he's going to be convinced from his brother, right? Why? Because brothers hate each other because they're competing for the Yerusha. So since they're competing with each other, then we're not afraid that one brother is going to convince the other brother. But even with a son who he doesn't hate, meaning because it's a brother from the mother, Ema Tsaisile. So there, Ben Aim, I'm sorry, I didn't say Im. Elafilu Ben Aim, the Loisani, even the son of a mother, that they don't hate each other, there's no competition there. Ema Tsaisile, maybe that you're going to listen to him, Kamash Malon, that you should just not listen to your brother when he starts talking to you about bad hashkafic things. Okay, that's the technical out of the way. So again, the Mishnah says that we don't let a man. This is the way we paskin. A man is not allowed to be married with two women. Let's say our Mishnah is not like Abashol. The Tanya kol shloshim yom yaitze b'cheik. If a baby dies within 30 days, so there's no major levaya. You just carry the baby in your chest or in your stomach. V'nikvar be'isha achas u'shnei anashim. And you send to the kvura. You send one woman and two men, right? Which is usually. It's out of the city, the cemetery. So you send one woman and two men. What's with yichud? Right? I mean, again, one woman, two men, which we said is not yichud. But you don't send on the levaya one man with two women. Why not? Because it's yichud, like our Mishnah.
What do you send?
One man. You send one woman and two men.
I don't think you can't do that.
No, I said avaloi beish echad u'shteinos.
What's the havamina that has to do with the yichud and it's out in the open?
One man and two women.
One woman, two men could go. One woman, two men could go to the kvura.
Men can go with one woman.
Yes.
Okay, who can't go?
One man, two women.
I thought yichud was the problem other way.
No, that's what we just said.
Get a whiteboard, please, with a graph.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Why would this ever be a
I'll
question?
be not too graphic. Yeah,
why is this ever a question of yichud? They're out in the open. It's not the buried in unless it's burying in a cave or something, But
I don't know. I know it's when it's at the outskirts of town. We don't expect people to be going there.
I would think it would be the opposite. There are more issues with two men and one woman than one man and two women.
You get a pass now.
See what he knows.
But then whether the Metzias changed, I don't know what it has. It's low, the balance, so I don't know.
Two? Should I refill it?
No. But anyways, so but okay, again, if the Mishnah, this was like our Mishnah. One woman can go with two men.
Right.
Two women cannot go with one man, right? Even with one man and two women is allowed. Right, so Abashol has no problem. So now it seems like he's not like our Mishnah, right? Our Mishnah again says one woman, one man, two women is not allowed. Abashol saying it is allowed. So Gemara answers, Afilu Tema Abashol. Our Mishnah can even be like Abashol. B'shas aninus taver yitzre. During when they're on the way to a levaya, so it's aninus when people are in mourning and they're sad. We're not chayshid that there's going to be znus. Okay. So what about the Rabbanon who say we're still worried about Yichud? Rabbanon, sorry, look at Rabbi Yitzchak. They all look at Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak, the pasuk says, "Mayis einin adam chay gever al chatav." Right? What Mayis einin adam chay? What should a person who's living have? Aninus, have mourning, and a strong man, gever al chatav, a strong man on his chataim. Right? Meaning, what should a person grieve? Right? So afilu b'shas aninus shel adam. Even at a time when a man's grieving, Yitzrim is Gavrilov, his Yetzirah can overpower him. That meaning to also play on words. Like when a person is grieving, then he could have his Yetzirah can overpower him. Baba Shol, obviously, he learns that a person's Yetzirah is not going to overpower him. Baba Shol, ki ksiv hahu b'misraim al midosav ksiv. That's not talking about aninus. It's talking about somebody who is sad. Misram Amidas, it means he's complaining about what Hashem gave him. And this is what the pasuk is saying. Why is a person complaining about his midas, meaning literally means what his measurements that he's getting from Hashem? Is he such a man over his chataim? It's enough the chaim that it's enough the life I give him. Meaning, what's this guy complaining about? How he has a bad he got a bad luck in life or something like that, right? Is he so perfect? He didn't do chataim, right? Hashem's saying he's lucky enough that he's alive. That's the way Abba Shaul understands it. Rabbanon, he says that they worried about that ma'isa with the woman. Because it was a story with a woman. So now there's a couple of different versions of this, but the basic version is that a woman, they wanted to be mezana together. She wanted to be mezana together with men, so she made it look like her baby was dead. Took the baby out to the cemetery. The men came with her, and they were mezana. So because of this story, the Rabbanan said, "You see." Now it's a question is, what do you see? Because it was not real mourning, right? So, meaning it seems like because of this crazy story, the Chachamim were concerned that will happen again, right? Even if it's legitimately a dead baby, right? Because we don't know. So therefore, the Chachamim say you have to be machmir. Fine. Then the Gemara says, "Aval isha achas," right? So we said one woman could be with two men. That's only if the men are kosher. Now this is very negay. By men that are prutzim, even 10 men, one woman cannot be alone with 10 men who are prutzim, right? So this comes up a lot. You have in the workplace, so a lot of times you have one man left in the office and there's a few ladies, right? So 2 ladies is no good, 3 ladies is okay, right? Well, let's say it's 1 secretary and a bunch of men. So normally we say, as long as there's 2 men there, there's no yichud. But that's only if they're ksherim. If they're prutzim, then it doesn't work.
What does prutzim mean?
Oh, so how do you define prutzim? So we'll see on Amud Aleph exactly how you define prutzim. But okay, let's wait till see how we define prutzim. It's a very high bar. It's a very high bar.
But Yaakov, it seems like the onus is completely on the men. Meaning it's totally the men.
The
women,
bar,
we
really
just
it's a low bar, yeah. What are you saying?
It seems like we're always putting the onus on the men. The women, we just assume they're just going to do whatever they want to do.
What do you mean?
Meaning, in all these cases, like if there's men of low character, the prutzim, we're just gonna assume that they're gonna, even if it's one woman, she's not embarrassed of being with a bunch of men. We always assume the woman is not going to be embarrassed to do any of this.
Correct.
1 man, 10 men, it's not mechalik. It's the man that we're worried about always.
Yeah. So I understand. So what are you saying?
Meaning we're always worried about the character of the man. I'm just pointing out, like it's not telling the woman at all when it comes to yichud.
I'm saying
we're never going to be mechalik when it comes to a woman.
No, we are, because by 3 women it's considered a shmira.
And why wouldn't we say prutzim?
By women?
I'm saying if in the case of 1 woman and 10 men, we don't say prutzim. If they're prutzim, we don't care. Why would 3 women be better?
What do you mean we don't care? We do. We don't let them be meyachid. 1 woman and 10 men that are prutzim, we don't let them be meyachid.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So why would 3 women be even better? Is that also true only by ksherim? That's what I'm saying.
No, by women, I never saw that we're mechalek between kosher and not kosher by women.
Why not?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Women naturally hold like Rameir, the chayish l'miyuta. So as long as there's 2 of them, there's no miyut.
I don't know.
There's 3. There's already a miyut that might not like it.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, let's see. There was a ma'isa where 10 people carried out a woman on a mita, meaning talk about pre-planned kritzas. They said, how are we gonna sleep with this lady? So they made like she was dead, right? Took her out of the city to the cemetery, and then that's where they were mezana. right? So it's a proof that 10 men are not embarrassed from each other if they're prutzim. Rav Yosef Teda, how do you know a proof to this? The mechabri beyasar v'gan v'kshuru. You have 10 men that cut together, and they steal a kshura as a beam from a house, and they need 10 men to carry it. And they're all crooks. They're not embarrassed from each other. Why? Because they're all crazy. I mean, they're not crazy, whatever. They all don't care. Fine. So name is Sayele. So again, by Saita, remember we had Saita that where a woman is the husband suspects her. So then they got to take her up to the Beis HaMikdash. So once the husband suspects her, the husband and wife can't be together either. So we send them up to the Beis HaMikdash, and we send 2 Talmidei Chachamim with them, right? So we're saying, okay, why 2 Talmidei Chachamim? Name him say, Shnei Talmidei Chachamim. They give him 2 Talmidei Chachamim, because we want to make sure that he doesn't sleep with his wife on the way. Talmidei Chachamim in sounds like Talmidei Chachamim we send. Like this, it'll be 2 men and the husband and the woman in Shida Amaloi. But if they're not Talmidei Chachamim, not. Why? Because they're prutzim. And since they're prutzim, they don't act as a shomer to make sure the guy doesn't sleep with his wife. So more answer, Shana Talmidei Chachamim, the Yade Lasruya. No, the reason why you want Talmidei Chachamim, we're on Talmud Aleph now, we're going to go through most of Talmud Aleph so we can finish tomorrow night, is Lasruya, because they're going to give him hasra, to warn him, do not. Meaning, if they have to warn him, they have to have this knowledge that if this guy sleeps with his wife, then drinking the drink is not going to work. Right? So therefore, that's why it needs to be the Talmidei Chachamim. Fine. This is all in the city. But if on the way, then you need shloisha, you need 3 men, right? Not 2 men. Why? Maybe one of them is going to have to go to the bathroom. And when that guy is going to the bathroom, so then there's going to be 1-on-1, and therefore there might be a Maisa's Nus, right? So it's interesting. You see, what's the sheer yichud? It doesn't say he's going to go to the bathroom for a bowel movement, right? It says he's going to urinate. How long does that take? Right? And yet, it's still an Issa yichud.
It depends on how old you are.
That's okay. That's true. I thought Peretz was going to say it depends how far you traveled and you held it.
I left it for you, Rachman. I had it. Yeah.
If you had the big one.
Right. Yeah. Rachman. Okay, whatever. Anyway, but that's what it's saying. But how about in the city? So how come in the city not saying? Why is it not an issue in the city? So the reason why it's not an issue in the city is because when you're on the way, you're in an open place, you have to go far away to find a private place to go to the bathroom. In the city, you just go around the corner and go. So mainly you're not too far, so you're always scared that somebody may come, right? So it's an interesting thing because people are bothered, like, what do you mean? What kind of shmira is thing? As long as there's a little bit of a shmira, that seems to be enough to take away the Isser Yichud, right? And the mashal of this is simple. Like you're driving 3 o'clock in the morning home from Lakewood, right? 3 o'clock in the morning, you stop at a traffic light on 878, right? Why are you stopping at that traffic light? Even if there's a cop there, which is very small chance, the chances of him giving you a ticket are slim to none at 3 o'clock in the morning if you're half asleep or whatever. I mean, what's the chances? And yet you still don't go through the red light, right? Most people. Because there's that small chance. Right, so it's
much easier. It's much easier when you're coming home through the bridge on Bell Harbor. You just pop one in after another.
But the bottom line is most people are waiting by the light because of that small chance, a small chance, right? So that's what all you need to get. That's all you need.
That's it.
Huh?
I'm gonna start going through.
Start going through this day. Don't blame me if you get a ticket though. Anyways. So that's what it's saying. So name him again, going back to sight. We give him 2 Talmidei Chachamim, because maybe he's going to sleep with his wife on the way. Trey. So why do you need 2? V'ihu. I mean, not why. Trey v'ihu. 2 and the man himself. That's 3. Al-Klasa. That's 3. That will make sure that there still won't be a yichud if one of them has to go to the bathroom. So that's a raya. So it says not a raya. No, we want 2 men going because you want witnesses in case the guy decides to sleep with his wife. So you want witnesses to say in the Beis HaMikdash not to give him to drink. Fine. Rav Rav Yehuda Havakazi Baruch. Rav Rav Yehuda were traveling. Havakazla he itza kamayim. There was a lady walking in front of them. Amalei Rav Rav Yehuda. So Rav said to Rav Yehuda, Dal karech mikamei Gehenim. Lift up your feet, meaning run in front of Gehenim. Meaning, don't you get away from this lady because we're going to be tempted by her. Amalei v'hamarhu damar b'ksherim shabbat. He said to him, but you said that there's two men. We're two men. And we're ksherim. There's no issue yichud. What's the problem? We're not going to mess up here. Amarle mi yema de b'ksherim guan anova hat. Did I mean ksherim like me and you? Alek going Mike, you're going Rab Chanina bar Papi v'chaver like Rab Chanina bar Papi and his friends who were seriously big tzaddikim. Right. So memela, those are the ones we're talking about. But us plain guys, we're not trusted. So basically, you have to be on a very high level. I think Shevet HaLevi, if I remember correct, I think it's a Shevet HaLevi, who says anybody that watches TV is considered a parutz. So that knocks us all out. Right? I don't mean me, for sure me. I mean, I don't watch TV. I don't know, but I did watch TV. I don't know if there's a statute of limitations on it. But whatever, it could very well be that most men nowadays are considered prutzim. But l'chayra, as far as I know, with three men nowadays, we do say we go l'kula, and we say that you could have yichud. As far as I know, fine. Amar Rav. Amar Rav. So Rav said, Malkin al yichud. You give malchus for yichud.
Lady could go to a Super Bowl party with 9 men.
Well. I was saying even, right? Okay. So Malkin al Yichud, you give Malchus for Yichud. All right. The Rashi says this Malchus is the Rabbanan Dika Malchus. Right? Vein Oysun al Yichud, but we don't ask her of husband and wife and Yichud. Meaning, if we know a woman was alone with somebody, so we give Malchus, we'll give her Malchus, but we're not going to ask her. That's only if somebody was meyachid with a single girl. The yichud of an Eishes Ish, that we're not going to give Malchus. Why? Because if you're going to give this lady Malchus and everybody says, oh, you heard they're giving this lady Malchus because she was Meyachid, and then all of a sudden people are going to think, not all of a sudden, but people are going to think, oh, must be that the kids are Mamzerim. So we don't want that to happen.
So what's the smallest amount of time for yichud? In the same way by a chasana, but so what's the shortest time? Because he said that with Mashtan Mayim. So what's the shortest time?
Oh, so what is the shortest time? You ready for this one?
Is it the same by chasana and by this?
Well, that's what I'm waiting for him to say. Yeah, that's what I want to hear.
Oh, so by chasanas,
did they take pictures before or after?
Yeah. So by chasana, we're machmer 7 minutes, 9 minutes. The real, you know what comes up the most negay? An elevator.
I was mamish going to ask you elevators. An elevator up to the Sears Tower or the Freedom Tower, Empire State, whatever.
Okay, so you ready to be disappointed, Ravan? You ready? Chatzi shir is also minat Torah, so there's no shir.
Very good, very good.
Right, it's not my. Yeah, there you go. Right, so there is no. Right, so chatzi shir means you cannot be alone be'etzem with anybody. That's really what the real shir is a ma'aseh, however long that would take. It's not long, but but we do say at least some say we have to say chatzi shir. So when we say this yichud, you can't be alone for any amount of time. Be'etzem l'chatchila.
So especially I keep on saying to him, but so you have to be when somebody has to look before him or her gets on an elevator. You're saying.
So Lamaisa the Paiskim matter elevators because they hold that it could open at any time.
There's cameras in elevators now.
Are there cameras in elevators?
Most elevators are cameras.
Yeah, not every elevator has a camera, and not all.
Said most.
So that's a thing that they work. The question is it enough to make you scared? That's the thing.
Me, yes.
Naftali's building, they're all broken anyway. So what's the difference?
Wasn't there a guy? Boxer?
You always get to say something that happens to you that negay for the daf today. This happened to me today. A neighbor came over that she was with her husband and nobody was home else, and she was in the house. And if I would be local and on the block, be able to just pop in the next 2 hours.
Oh, so okay.
My little
Very
Chevy
good.
had no idea what she was talking about when she was talking to me.
My neighbor does that all the time.
What?
The babysitter's here. I came home. My wife's not home yet. Could you come by?
Right. So okay. So now we're going to get into some of the heterim, right? Like Rabban was saying, the workarounds. Right. That we'll get into that in a minute. But Aaron, I can one up you on a yichud shaila today. This one you can't even make up.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Guy says he's thinking about taking a pawn with 2 other guys. One of them is gay. Is there an issa yichud?
Oof. Okay, you got me. You got me.
So I can't make it up. A few hours ago, the question was texted. So I told him, I said, you worried about yichud? He says, I'm not worried, but my parents are. So I said, smart parents. I said, I don't know if there's an issa yichud, but I don't think he's a good influence. Right? But
wasn't that Rashach's psak many years ago? Rashach gave a psak on yeshiva dormitories that if any room has only 2 beds in it, they should take the door off.
I don't know if it's Rashach. I know the Chassidim do not allow two boys in a room.
I remember hearing of Shem Rashach.
Yeah, I don't know. Could be. Anyways, so Marzutra, Malki, Umachris, but Marzutra. So again, we said don't give Malchus if they did Yichud because then people are going to think that they did something wrong, right? So Marzutra, Malki, Umachris, Marzutra did give Malchus and announced it to people that she's only getting Malchus because she had Yichud, not because she was Mezaner. Amalei Rav Nachman mi Parhatia l'Rav Ashi Marnami Lilki v'Lacha. So why don't you do the same thing? So he had a good idea, Marzutra, right? So Amalei Ika the Shama Baha v'Le Shama Baha. He said no, because some people are going to hear about the Malchus. They're not going to hear the announcement, right? There's always those guys that don't hear the announcement, right? Aaron, you text, please RSVP, and you don't get, I didn't get no RSVP. What do you mean? We posted it 10 times, right? Or you
Jack, if only they catch you by the plug and ask for milchiks. Ravari, that was too easy. I'm sorry, Ravari.
Anyway, so I'm saying, so people don't hear the announcements, right? Even partial announcements. Yeah, the Gabbai announces what time Mincha is, and the guy turns around and says, what time is Ma'ariv? He didn't announce Ma'ariv. Yes, he did. Right? So I'm saying,
today we announced a purple BMW. Please move your car. The lady comes out. Purple. I thought they said white. I'm like, you get white from purple.
Right. So exactly. Very good. See, everybody's having in Yonah de Yomas today. Right. So yeah, so he's afraid they're not going to hear the announcement. Okay, Amara Malkin, and then the Gemara digresses for a minute here. Amara Malkin aloi toiva hashmua. Right, that's interesting. It's a lashon saginor, meaning you give malchus on rumors, on not good rumors. Meaning, if somebody is obviously malchus the rabbanon, right? So meaning on the bad rumors, whatever, that he's no good, so you can give him malchus. Now, why? Because Rashi says it's actually a lav. It's actually a lav, right? Meaning if a person is doing things that are not allowed in public, so you're allowed to talk about shenemar. This is talking about Eli, right? So Eli, with the Eli Akayan's kids, so the Gemara makes it sound like they slept with women. They really didn't. They ended up causing women not to be able to be with their husbands because they delayed the karbanis, right? That whole story over there, right? So Shenemar, El Banai ki lo toiva hashmua. He said, Al Banai, I'm sorry, Al, no, my sons, it's not a good rumor. We're not hearing good things. Mazutra, Maisala Afsera Al Kaspe. Zutra, what he would do is he would put like a rope around the person's shoulders, Makrile Al Bana, and he would read him that pasuk, right? And meaning, and then he gave him Malchus. Fine. That's now we go back to Yichud. Okay? Major one here, right here. Amar Rabba Baila Be'ir and Chayshim Mishum Yichud. If the husband's in the city, there's no chashash yichud. So that means if a woman is in an office, in the local office, she's allowed to be alone because if her husband's in the city, she's afraid. Now Rashi says she's afraid that the husband may show up at any minute.
What do you mean the city?
Now, if
What
it's locked,
city? Yeah. That was just-
so how do you define the city? So that's a good question. Does it mean that it has to be where he can get there at any time? Like, let's say, is Manhattan considered the city? So obviously,
One
the
side of
person
Manhattan,
say-
one side of Manhattan can take 4
right,
hours.
right. So, but you don't know. So it's an interesting thing. So Rashi says the reason is because we're afraid he may come. Others say,
But
I don't
Rashi
remember-
also says we're only talking about lahalkes and lahafres. It's still us.
what? Yeah,
Rashi
okay, but
holds that
that's
it's still us.
yeah, but the, what do you call it? The Bach. Yeah, I mean, the way the Bach understands it for sure. Right? Okay, right. But others say it's not pshat that he may come. It's just like if the husband's around, there's like a fear. There's what? Not paspasale, no, for her. Meaning there's this fear that her husband's around. If her husband's around, then it's not, that's put a fear in her. Okay, so that's one. So that's Baila Be'ir. Rabbi Yosef, here's the big one. Pesach Pasuach l'Rosh Hashanah. We could spend a mamish a long time on this one. If the door is open to Rosh Hashanah, in Choshesh Mishum Yichud, we're not Choshesh for Yichud. So that means now exactly what does that mean? What's Pesach Pasuach l'Rabim? So the door has to be wide open. Can it be closed? How about if it's locked? Right. So that's a big machlokes of poskim. Whether it can be closed and unlocked. Seems like the poskim are makel that as long as it's unlocked. Ramosha Feinstein has a chiddush that even if it's locked, you can call that Pesach Pasuach l'Rabim, because if the person knocks on the door, you have to answer, right? And since you have to answer, so therefore, that's considered like a mirsas. That's a big chiddush. The poskim don't go with this kula from Ramesh as far as I know. And that could be Ramesh was a tzaddik. Somebody knocked on his door, he answered. Me, somebody knocks on the door, I run away.
In business, if the boss's door, he doesn't have to open it. Nobody's even going to knock on it if it's closed.
Right. So maybe that would be different. Now there is a kula out there that's used by at least one major posik.
Aaron, I was going to say you never attended an HR, segment.
Rav Aaron, I wish they wouldn't knock when the door is closed, but they don't get the hint.
I basically, Aaron, I was out of offices before they invented HR.
Yeah. Clearly, that's what I'm saying. Clearly, because you would get a write up for that one today.
No, but it's not a joke. This comes up. It's interesting, but because of all these lawsuits of abuse, these shilas don't come up anymore. It used to be a problem with an OBGYN. A woman goes to the doctor, they close the door, right? You go to a therapist. Now, because of all the abuse shilas, no OBGYN is examining a woman unless there's somebody else in the room. Right? So it's gewaldic for the rabbis because these shilas have gone away. Therapists, amol, is a problem. Social workers, psychologists, that's sometimes a problem because for the privacy, they don't want people barging in. So, but usually, now I don't know. I mean, whatever. It's a complicated thing. But there is a cooler out there.
Yana Diyoma today, a lady comes in and she closes the door, which usually I leave the door open. She sits down, and I have a window right outside. In the middle of the conversation, family members start banging on the window. The lady just said, "There goes the whole yichud issue."
No, very good, Brad. Very good. Because that's another thing. That's another thing we have to discuss. Open windows is considered like Pesach Pasuach, the Pasuk say. So if you situate yourself by the window, then that's considered like a rabbin, right?
That's the cooler from Rabbi.
No, the cooler on the rub is that
even just the window shade, right? Lav dafka the window itself. An uncovered window. The window shade is open, not the window itself.
No, window shade. Yeah, 100% window shade.
Yeah, maybe that's the shot in the car heter because you're sitting at the window.
And Echanami, that's the heter for cars, is because you can see the window. Now, what happens if you have very tinted windows? Right?
Ramosha in the truck, you're higher up than anything else.
Yeah, well, that a guy can bounce up. You never know when a squeegee guy comes up. But no, Ramosha Feinstein in the Tshuva seems to say that there's an Isser Yichud in a car. According to Ramosha Feinstein, you cannot go on a date. He holds because even though in the car itself is Rosh Hashanah, but since you could take the car and drive to some place that's quiet, some Mamela, that's considered Yichud. I never heard of anybody going with this psak.
That would really help with the Shidduch crisis.
Yaakov, isn't the Chazon Ish Chaylik? Isn't the Chazon Ish
Yeah,
Chaylik?
everybody's. I think I think the I don't know if he's a Das Yachid, but it's not. It's a real minority opinion. But anyways, going back to this other thing, there is a heter out there that if somebody calls in every once in a while, that will take away the yichud. I don't know. I don't understand that one, but some
You talk about dropping in on the Alexa. Does that help even more?
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe video. Yaakov, maybe video calling.
What is like a date cover? You need like another person calling you in the middle of your date?
I guess. And then what about video cameras? What about video cameras? So video cameras works. The only thing is you have to make sure the video cameras catch the whole room, right? It isn't a dead spot like under the video camera.
What's if they're going to put the video camera on a loop? I mean,
well, I don't know if you have to be choshev for that.
Not everybody's rachamim can do such things.
That's right.
Okay.
You know,
all right. Now I'm going to be nichshad.
Yeah, well, you're in the country.
Rachman, you can't even make it down your driveway without being over on yichud.
Well, jokes. Tomorrow's all the Gemara's about being miyachah with animals, so that's Rachamim's time to shine. All right.
I know that was coming.
Yaakov, it's okay. He leaves his video camera on. We get to see him with the animals in his lap.
There are people that don't know him.
Yaakov, 1 second. If Rachamim holds the goat when he's on the Zoom share, does that count as yichud?
I don't know. Anyways, if you think this Lutzon is tonight, wait till tomorrow night. But anyway, anyway, so saying, so there were the phone calls, and then there's one other thing. I don't remember. Okay, so that's that. No, it comes up a lot. Now, also, till when is Pesach Pasuach a heter? Till what time at night? So the person can say once it's late at night and there's no chashash that people are going to come in, then it's no good. So it really depends on your neighborhood. That most places say be'erach 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. It gets a little. No, it might have to do with Chanukah, right? Until it has to be a chashash. It comes up a lot with babysitters, and the parents go out to a chasana and they have a teenage babysitter there. So you tell them to leave the door open, right? They'll leave the door unlocked at least. But then it gets late at night, then it becomes more of a problem. Fine.
Well, what yichud are you talking about over there?
A teenage girl babysitter with 2 boys, let's say.
Oh.
2 little boys, whatever it is. Okay, Rabibi Iklu Lebei Rabbi Yosef. So Rabibi traveled to Rabbi Yosef. Basar the Karach Rifta after and he called it literally means wrapped bread, meaning after they ate. Amr Lahu. So they ate in the attic, Rashi says. Basically, Rabibi traveled and visited Rabbi Yosef's house, and they ate in the attic. And then after they ate, Amr Lahu, so Rabbi Yosef told the people, Shkuli Darga Metuse Bibi, take the ladder from under Bibi, right? Meaning, because he was leaving, and he didn't want it to be yichud between Rabibi and his wife. Right? So Gemara says, it's Baila Be'ir. So what's the problem? Shoshani Rabibi, the Sheshvinte Have, because he was a Sheshvina means Sheshvina is normally used for the people that accompany a Chassan and a Kala, Sheshvina, but it's a Sheshvina, he's they're close. But Gaisabe, and since they're close to each other, there's a chashash. Right? So this is very important. Right? This din of Baila Be'ir does not apply when the people that are having the yichud are close to each other. I mean, close to each other doesn't mean that they're attracted to each other. It means that it's not a steer for them to hang out with each other because they know each other so well. For example, a mother-in-law and a son-in-law, right? The husband goes to work. Ben Azmanim, the son-in-law, they're staying by the in-laws, right? The husband goes to work, and now it's the mother-in-law or a sister-in-law and a brother-in-law or a cousin, anybody who's like, oh, they're hanging out with each other. Oh yeah, because they're cousins or they're in-laws. So there's because of that, Baila Be'ir does not work. Baila Be'ir doesn't work. I mean, the husband goes to davening. You say, oh, it's Baila Be'ir. It's a problem, right? It's a problem. Now, some learn that this applies even for Pesach Pasuach. This is a big problem. If you hold that Pesach Pasuach L'Rabim doesn't work for Liboy Gaspa, where they're familiar with each other, then you have a big problem. I'm not exactly sure what the heter is then, right? Meaning, let's say the husband goes out and your son-in-law's home, and the son-in-law's home with the wife, or sister-in-law's home with the brother-in-law, whatever, using those same examples, and when somebody goes out to Mincha Ma'ariv, right? What's the heter for him to be home? Baila Be'ir doesn't work. So you say, okay, leave the door unlocked. But if you go with that the door unlocked doesn't work for somebody you're familiar with, then I'm not exactly sure what the heter is. I don't know. I never heard of anybody being machmer. Guys ask about it, but I don't know exactly how it rolls. So Lamaisa, it's a machlokes whether we say Pesach Pasuach is a problem for people who are familiar with each other. Right, let's just do a few more lines and then we'll stop. So let's say you have what do you call this type of rooms where there's only one way out? Railroad, like a railroad rooms. Yeah, thank you. Thumbs up from Avi. Yeah, so railroad, meaning you have an inner room and you have an outer room. So you have men in the outer room and women in the inner room. So there's no chashash yichud because there's no reason why the men would go into the women because there's no reason for them to. But if it's men on the inside and women on the outside, then we have to be chash for yichud, because maybe a man's going to go hang out with the women and he's going to say, "Oh, why are you here?" Because he's to say, "I'm on my way out," right? And then there might be a ma'ases nus. The Brisa it says the opposite. Amar Abaya hashtet Amar Rav Kahana hachi v'tana asnisa ifcha. We have Rav Kahana saying one way and the Brisa says the other way. I know nevid l'chumra. We're going to go l'chumra. Fine. Abaya dire gulfi. So Abaya would set up like jugs, in order, meaning between the men and the women, when the gatherings of men and women, you make a mechitza basically. It didn't sound like a big mechitza, but enough mechitza that somebody who's going to try and walk to the women or a woman to walk to the man is going to make noise and people will say, "Hey, what are you doing?" Rabba dire kana. Rabba put reeds.
You mean a Tzoros Pesach wouldn't be enough?
No, Tzuras Bezel would not be enough. No. You can walk right through it. Right? You need mechitzas, okay? Yeah. So Rava Dair Kana. Omar Avin. So Sakva Deshata Rigla. This is very interesting here. We just had this. We're a few days too late. The bad part of the year is Yom Tiv. Yeah, what does that mean? Because on Yom Tiv, people are eating, drinking, hanging out, and Memela, that's when men and women end up congregating. All right.
Well, we have
oh, very good. Toisus, the bottom Toisus. Very good, David. Look at the bottom Toisus here. Sakva the shot the rigla pirish ruah shel yemais hashana liyichud laveira klemer yemais haregel sheish kvutzas anoshim v'noshim. There's gatherings of men and women l'shmoya hadrasha v'nois in ayin zeh al zeh. Even though they're coming to the drasha, they're looking at each other. V'yesharm l'kach nagu l'sanis lachar pesach l'achar sukkos. Because of this Gemara is where the meaning of Behab comes from.
Maybe this is where the raya comes from, that they take down the mechitza by Simchas Torah for the women to see.
Well, I mean, and that's why we need to do tshuva, you're saying?
Maybe.
No, it could be.
So right? We don't say better not to. So better to do it and then fast?
Right.
No, I think they're just saying that that's the mitzias. That seems to be the mitzias. It is what it is.
Don't have the drushes, no.
Yeah, that's true. It seems like that's the way we've gone now, right? Don't do the drushes. Don't do the drushes. Yeah. Okay, from the next Gemaras, we're going to see that it was like a different door, how it went down. It's late already, so it's late. Okay, you know what? It's Maisim, so I think the other could concentrate for a few more minutes. It's not Gemara, it's just Maisim, right? Maybe strange Maisim, but they're Maisim. Hani shu used to so it was captured women that came to Nahardor. Askinu lebei Rav Amram Chasida. So they brought them to Rav Amram Chasida, right? That because he's the one that bail them out. Halavai, that it should happen nowadays, this mice, that they should be bailed out. So Ashkalu Darga Mikamai, what happened was so he put them all in the attic, and then he took away the ladder so that there would be no yichud. When one of them walked by the opening to the attic, a light shone into the house through that opening because she was so beautiful, the lady. So Rav Amram lost it. Shakli Rav Amram Ladarga, he ran and he took the ladder. The ladder was so heavy, 10 men couldn't carry that ladder. And he took it himself. Daya Lechude, and he lifted it himself. Salik Vazan, he was going up to the attic to be together with the woman. Kimata Lapalga Darga, when he got halfway up the ladder, Ifshach, he planted his feet into the ladder to stop himself. Ramakala Nura Be'amram. He lifted up his voice and he said, Nura Be'amram, there's a fire. Meaning there was no fire, but he was yelling so that people would come. Asur Rabbanan, the Rabbanan came. So he embarrassed them because this guy was yelling out, there's a fire. And I guess it was clear that the reason why he yelled out it was a fire is because he wanted people to come to rescue him from being Mazana. So Amrullah Kistafina, you embarrassed us that we came running to one of our guys is going to be, I think this is the way to understand it, that one of the Rabbanan are going to go be Mazana. So Amrullah, better that you should be embarrassed from me, Amram, in this world, and not be embarrassed from him in the next world. So Ashbe, what do you say?
I said I wrote down last time that the fire, the Yetzer Hara was getting invested. That was the fire.
Oh, because okay, I hear. I mean, that was the fire. That was your own title, or is it from somebody?
I don't know. I wrote it. I don't know.
Oh, very good. So Ashbe the Yinpak Minei. So then he made a shvua that the Yetzer Hara should go out from him. Yinpak Minei, Nafak Minei ki amuda denura, and it went out of him like a fire. It looked like a fire went out of him. Amarle. So he said to the Yetzer Hara, Chazi da'at nura, you're fire, v'ana bisra, and I'm flesh, v'ana adifna, even though fire normally consumes flesh, as we'll see tomorrow night, Bez Hashem, right? Here, the flesh that was talking about the barbecue, whatever the food, whatever meat. Yeah, so I know adifna minach. So but I'm better than you. Okay, one more, or maybe two more. Rameir have mislikes about every.
I don't understand. He's going to be Mizana and the Rabbanan are going to be upset. I mean,
going to
be embarrassed.
They were embarrassed from him.
I understand. So I'm going to be embarrassed that some guy decides he's going to be Mizana. What do I care? It's not my issue.
It's like one guy on the VOD that makes the whole VOD look bad.
Right. That's the way I understood it. That's the way I understood it, like Aaron said it. But I'm not sure.
You're associated with somebody. Okay.
Correct. Right. Like, what are you doing over here? Just why couldn't you either control yourself or be Mizana? Why are you calling all of us and making like it's a fire?
I heard another way of learning this. He embarrassed them because they knew they would never reacted like that. In other words, had the Yetzer Hara been that bad by them, they would have gone ahead. They wouldn't have planted their feet and yelled fire.
I hear.
But what was his answer? His answer was better for you to be embarrassed here than to be embarrassed in the world to come.
Yeah, that's why I think it means that he was embarrassed. He embarrassed them, meaning rather we should all be embarrassed. I don't know. Yeah, the Lashon, that's...
Yes,
I wasn't...
Meaning the same embarrassment by association, whether it's here or in the next world, it's that embarrassment. Better they should have it here than in front of the Kisei HaKavod, in front of Bezin Shamala.
What? The Ronisham is going to have tinus on them? He was Mizana?
Yeah, maybe because they were Chaverim and they hung out in the same circles. Maybe
that's it's what Avi saying.
Everybody on this daf is in trouble now.
You have to have good Chaverim. That's what it's saying.
Yeah.
Byron, I gotta head to shut my video.
He's not here. I think he left.
He left. He already left. Okay.
What's up, my phone?
Yeah, we'll stop. We'll stop here because the early on, right? They left already, but we'll stop here. Okay. Let's say Tillim. It's gonna be